Hello, hello, my friends. Another dedicated candle review for you today. We're going to be talking about Kringle Candle Parisian Frost. Now, full disclosure, you guys, this candle was sent to me in PR from Kringle Candle way back. I want to say it was probably late November. I think I received this in my stash. And I did do kind of like an initial sniff session video. This was part of their winter flight collection. And then they also had a winter reserve collection launched at the same time. So I did do a video where I discussed all 6 of those fragrances. And I remember in that video saying that I liked this scent, but it was one that I would definitely burn more so after the holidays. Unfortunately, I feel like the timing of the release of this candle, this to me was not a like a Christmas scent. And at the time that I received it, I was definitely more so into full on Christmas mode. Obviously, it is now January. It's a new year, new season. You can see all of my Christmas decor is put away. And so it felt like an appropriate time to go ahead and start burning this candle. Now, if you've been watching my candle chats, or I can't even remember, maybe some of my hauls or whatnot, a couple of weeks ago, it was actually prior to Christmas, I actually got together with a couple of my other friends here on YouTube. I actually met up for lunch with Amy from Beloved Fragrance Finds. Amy actually lives only about an hour away from me. And then McKenna was visiting from the Joyful Candle, was visiting from Colorado. She was visiting some family here in Arizona. So we all got together, and Amy actually gave me this candle as well as her Snowy Cascade. She did not care for this fragrance. And so I thought, you know what? She had already burned this one almost, she had burned this one quite a ways already, concluded it was not for her. And I thought, you know what? I'll go ahead and take your half burned candle off of your hands, because I knew I already had this one, like a full complete one that had been sent to me in PR. But you guys know I've talked about this several times, that if a candle is not really for me, if it's not an absolute love for me, I do tend to like to either gift those to other people or pass them on for like charity events and stuff like that, for like silent auctions or door prizes. And so I wanted to keep like the one that was unburned available to do that, just in case this fragrance didn't work out for me. So you're going to find out in this review what ended up happening. So let's go ahead and talk about this Parisian Frost. This is one of their 2-wick vessels. It's 22 ounces of 100% soy wax. This candle does retail for $31, but at the time that I am reviewing this, I believe that it is currently 25% off on the Kringle website. This candle has a pour date of August 14th, 2025. We have fragrance notes listed as top notes of bergamot, rosemary, basil, mid notes of lavender, jasmine, muguet, base note of moss, patchouli, armoise, and santal. Okay, first and foremost, I do want to say I absolutely love the packaging here. This beautiful picture of the Eiffel Tower. It's almost got like a, what's it called, like a sepia tint. Very, very pretty. It looks very like vintage. It almost looks like something from like the early 1900s, like a photo you would look at from 100 years ago. Which truthfully, you guys, I feel like the fragrance of this candle kind of gives me those vibes. My nose, I'm going to tell you guys what I detect and how I would describe this candle. I've mentioned that this reminds me of a fragrance that, if you are a fan of the show Downton Abbey, which honestly, fun fact, you guys, that is my #1 favorite like drama show ever. I love Downton Abbey. I think I've watched the entire series through like 4 or 5 times. It's one of my all-time favorites. And this fragrance to me smells like what I envision like the drawing room would smell like, where they're all kind of meeting. It's very much what my friend Melanie would categorize as like a fancy lady scent. To me, this is very fancy smelling. Now, I think that some people might be turned off to this one. I do smell that top note of bergamot. The bergamot in here gives like a zingy freshness, but this is not as like front and center, slap you in the face citrus bergamot like last spring's Country Candle Fresh Bergamot. That was very zesty, like almost lime leaning bergamot. Whereas in this fragrance, you definitely smell that bergamot. It gives that fresh, clean vibe going on. But my nose does detect the lavender and the jasmine in here. I also get that base note of a moss. There's a little bit of greenness going on. I feel like this is almost kind of a little bit of like if you happen to like the fragrance Christmas in Manhattan, that has a little bit of like a minty note going on in it. I feel like this kind of smells like it's in that fragrance family. It's kind of perfumey, but there's a lavender note in there, but this is not like your spa lavender. This is a very like, I feel like it's an upscale, clean, fresh type of scent. It doesn't quite remind me of like clean, fresh, like or maybe should, how would I put it? It's not as like basic of a scent as like your clean, fresh, warm cotton towels type of fragrance, but it is kind of in that cleaner type of pipeline, I would say, in terms of fragrance descriptions. If you tend to like fragrances like that, I think that you would like it. If you liked Christmas in Manhattan, if you liked oh, what was it from Country Candle last year? They had, was it Seaside? Which honestly, you guys, that fragrance needs to come back into the Kringle lineup. That was a really nice fragrance. I would say I liked that one the most out of like all of these ones that I'm kind of mentioning to you. I think the fragrance note in here that is going to be polarizing for a lot of people is the bergamot in here. Because the bergamot can pull a little bit too cologne or perfumey, or to some noses, it can come across as like artificial cleaning agent. And again, to my nose, that's not what I'm smelling here. Now, I don't really get the herbaceous notes of rosemary and basil. My nose isn't really, I definitely don't really smell rosemary in here. Maybe some basil. But then there's the base notes there of like a santal, which can be kind of like a sandalwood note. Patchouli, I'm not getting a ton of patchouli, but I am smelling moss. We know Kringle loves that moss note sometimes, and there is a little bit of a greenness in here. This is a fragrance for me that I'm going to be really honest with you guys. I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. It's kind of like in the middle for me. And this is where I'm kind of at mentally for myself going into this new year. For me personally, you guys, this is the type of fragrance that if I did not already have a couple of other scents in my collection that I know that I love and I'm really excited to burn right now, I would hold on to this candle because I can pair this. I've actually been pairing this with Homeworks' Spun Vanilla Sugar, and I actually really like the combination. I would pair this with like a gourmand, with like a vanilla gourmand, maybe to kind of like, I don't know, maybe like tone this one down a little bit. But because I like so many other fragrances, or like I'm excited to burn so many other candles in my collection right now, I feel like I'm just going to go ahead and pass this one along. So it's not a hate. I don't dislike it intensely, but it's not a love for me either. So that's my thought. Those are my thoughts on the fragrance itself. Now let's go ahead and talk about the performance. So like I said, Amy already burned this one a good chunk, and I've burned this candle now 3 times to kind of develop my own thoughts on it. You can see I've got a nice wax pool going here. It's not overly deep. The flames on this candle, they're not too wildly intense, but they're not puny either. They're performing quite well for me so far. Strength and throw on this candle, you guys, I'm going to give it about like a 7.5. I have been burning it on my quilt rack over there, which tends to be a really good spot for me to burn candles from in the winter months. I think it's because I live in an area where I can actually open up my windows most of the time in the winter. We had a cold snap a couple of days ago, but like today it's 67 degrees Fahrenheit. So, you know, I can have some windows open. And I find that the fragrance travels pretty well. But yeah, this is about like a 7.5, I would say. It definitely fills up my open concept. It's noticeable and present, but it's not smacking me in the face. And again, I think because that bergamot note is going to be polarizing for some people, I actually think the strength and throw on this one is perfect where it's at. I think if it were any stronger, I think that it might just come across a little bit offensive. But overall, you guys, like I said, I'm not really, how would I put it? I'm not really going to throw like a full weight of recommendation behind this one because it's not a love for me, but I'm also not going to say I hate it and I think that like nobody should buy this. I don't feel that way about it either. I do feel like that there is an audience for this one. And I do think that it's kind of maybe, I truthfully feel like the Winter Flight collection, This one and the Snowy Cascade, which I am going to do a review of later today for you guys. I feel like these two were kind of like, I felt like Frosted Dawn was Cinderella at the ball, and these are the stepsisters. Not that they're ugly or anything. It's just that like they just don't have the attention being shown on them because Frosted Dawn was just such a hit. It smelled very familiar to a lot of people, and so I think a lot of people were excited about that. Whereas these two are definitely more. Also, Frosted Dawn I think was more appropriate for the holiday season, whereas this is more so appropriate for this time of year, and so I feel like they didn't get the initial love on the launch. And so therefore, I don't know. I feel like they've kind of been swept under the rug, but they're not bad fragrances. It's just not, this one is just not really for me. And if you don't like bergamot, then I would say definitely steer away from this fragrance profile. So let me know in the comment section down below if you purchased this one. Let me know what your thoughts have been. But if you appreciated this review, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Consider subscribing to my channel if you are new. I do want to say thank you so very, very much for spending your time here with me today. And until my next one, I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day. Bye.